Good evening, mga bayani ng Care National Hospital. And I am about to introduce our guest speaker. He was born on March 1, 1959 in Manila, Philippines. Ambassador Alonto belonged to the illustrious Alonto clan of Lanao del Sur as the seventh child of former Senator Dr. Ahmad Mocaw Alonto and Cadia Cordelia Villaluna Alonto. Adnan grew up in a highly politicized environment with several of his close relatives holding high political offices. His father, Dr. Alonto, was a highly regarded Muslim leader who was credited for the passage of historic law and benefited cultural minorities, indigenous people, and Muslim in his home country. As one of the founding members and a former constituent council member of Rabita Al-Alam Al-Islami Muslim World League, Dr. Alonto also holds the distinction of being the lone Muslim Filipino winner of the much coveted King Faisal Award for Service to Islam in 1988. Against the backdrop of a towering figure of his father, Ambassador Alonto pursued his passion for the law, public service, and cause-oriented advocacies earlier on his life that led him to earn his political science and law degrees and eventually became the member of the Philippine Bar in 1986. As a lawyer, Ambassador Alonto developed expertise handling civil and criminal law as well as corporate and labor law cases. As advisor, confidant, and ghostwriter to his father, Adnan is adept at issues involving the struggles of the Muslim in the Philippines and the Islamic world. In 1995, Ambassador Alonto, together with his family, moved to the United States, where he continued his legal profession working in prominent American law firms and companies. While in the U.S., he developed keen interest in labor and migration issues, information technology, trends, and contemporary international and world events. Moved by his desire to serve in his country, Ambassador Alonto returned to the Philippines in 2016 and accepted his nomination from the Philippine President as Ambassador of the Republic of the Philippines to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of Yemen. Ambassador Alonto arrived in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia together with his wife, Jo Ernest Alonto, on November 15, 2017. He presented an open copy of his credential as Philippine Ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to His Excellency Dr. Nizar bin Ubaid Madan, Minister of State of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on November 30, 2017. Ambassador Alonto presented his credential to the custodian of two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, on March 5, 2018. Please help me in welcoming, ladies and gentlemen, our Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of the Philippines to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Republic of Yemen, His Excellency Adnan Villaluna Alonto. Thank you. Please sit down. The Director General, Dr. Fahad Al-Kio of the Care National Hospital, Mr. Muhammad of the Human Resources, our very own Nurse Flordelis Canlapan, the officials of the OFW Congress, community leaders, medical staff of the hospital, our very own heroic medical workers, nurses,
non-medical workers as well here in the hospital. Thank you very much for emceeing, my good friend here. Of course, I'd like to greet my wife, who's over there. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening to all of you. If I may, I'll just remove my my mask momentarily right here. My wife doesn't agree with it, but believe me, it's very hard to speak with a mask on. And so I've always said, and most of the time, whenever I face members of my community, I always speak from the heart. As you can see, I don't have any notes with me, and of course, and if I may, with the indulgence of our hosts here tonight, I will be speaking back and forth in our vernacular. Believe me, it's my way to endear myself to them. So, it's been quite a night so far, hearing stories and speeches, and the heroic deeds of our medical workers here in this hospital. I was trying to coin an appropriate term on my way here. Well, in the Philippines, we call our overseas workers as boung bayani. Translated, roughly, it's called our new heroes, boung bayani. Bayani, hero, because without our overseas workers all over the world, medical and otherwise, there were a lot of economic challenges that we had in our country, that if not for our overseas workers, remittances to their families, then we really wouldn't know where we are going to be today. And it is largely the remittances of our overseas workers that had kept us afloat in those hard economic times. I guess I would not give you the details of when those economic times were, because there were many. There was such thing as the Asian financial crisis, and then there was the 2008 meltdown in the U.S. that prodded, or that actually was the reason for the almost worldwide recession. And without our overseas workers, people who are before me tonight, we would not have made it. So, but then again, the pandemic came, and you see, they are already heroes in and by their own right. But they did things over and above the heroic things that our overseas workers. And so I've coined the term in my mind, BNB. What does BNB stand for? Bayani ng mga bayani. So it means literally heroes of heroes. And this is what I actually refer you. Bayani ng mga bayani. Dahil doon sa kasagsagan ng ating pandemya, lahat naman tayo iba-iba ang experiences natin. We had different experiences during the height of the pandemic, and particularly during the height of the lockdown. And believe me, I was intensely listening to Grace Lynn and Cheryl here. I share their anxiety. I share their fears, because this is actually a situation where you're dealing with an unknown. And fear of the unknown is the greatest fear, actually. Mahirap talaga yung hindi mo alam. And as we speak, we're still dealing with the effects of the virus. And we just don't know where is it going to end. You probably heard, and you know more than me, that as we try to deal with the virus more systematically, we are hearing stuff like variants, the Delta one, perhaps even a Lambda, and what else is next? And fortunately, we have good history. In that the last pandemic was in 1918, the Spanish influenza pandemic, where 50 million actually people perished at that time. The pandemic, the Spanish influenza pandemic, lasted for more than 3 years. And this time around, we don't know how long this is going to last, because we continue to know more about the virus. And that is the good thing. We have learned more and more about the virus, and we now are able to validate the variables which then were unknown when it broke. So, who knows kung kailan matatapos ito. The one thing that does not change, every day this is going to be a changing world. As we deal with more and more unknowns, and as we come to know more and more about the virus and study them, and our scientists are doing a heck of a job. One thing is certain. One thing that will not change at all. It is the character that we have shown during the height of the pandemic. Ako, wala akong masabi sa ating mga health workers na nandito ngayon sa Saudi Arabia, at maging doon sa ating health workers all over the world. As you may have heard when I spoke before doon sa Riyadh Care Hospital, I never hesitate to accept invitations like this, because really I get the opportunity to be before people I care about, people close to my heart. And my wife is here, and believe me, the anxiety that your parents have experienced are the same anxiety that we, both of us, experienced during the height of the lockdown and during the height of the pandemic. The reason for that is because we have a nurse for a daughter. Our youngest daughter is a nurse who, like you, was a frontliner at the height of the pandemic in the United States. She works in Stanford Hospital, and believe me, at that time we had the hardest times of all. We hardly had any sleep because she was pregnant at the height of the pandemic. And we did not know how is she going to pull through. She has given, remember the height of the pandemic when a royal decree was issued. And I went out in social media, even in the newspapers, both here and in our media in the Philippines. This is the only country where if you get sick of COVID, you get accepted to any hospital, both private and public. It's the only country that I know. Not even in the first world countries of North America did they have that.
For free.
Wala, nada. So, ang sinasabi ko nga sa ating mga kababayan, let us count our blessings. Sometimes our people, may mga kababayan tayo, ang nakikita lang yung hindi pabor sa sitwasyon nila. When in fact, they should be counting their blessings. Yun ang ano dun, parang pag-ibig yan. Di ba? Parang pag-ibig nga yan. You know, ikaw ang tendency mo, if you look for love, you look for, far away places. When actually, you can find love just very nearby. Andyan yung mga pamilya mo, that you take for granted. Na naghahanap ka ng pagmamahal sa iba. Di ba? Meron ako mga alam dyan, hilig mo maghanap ng pagmamahal sa iba eh. Ayan, ang mga nakatayo dyan. Kaya advice ko nga dyan sa kanila, tingin muna kayo dun sa mga malalapit sa inyo. Mga kamag-anak, kapatid, kaibigan. Yan po. We always say that, the key to happiness is really being simple. Kasi it's hard to be simple. It's really hard. It's a irony of life that even to be common, but common sense is fast becoming uncommon sometimes. No? So, yun na nga, keep it simple na hindi mo sana i-recognize mo, i-appreciate mo yung maliliit na bagay na naranasan mo, na ibinibigay sa iyo ng pagkakataon na ating po may kapal. So, count our blessings. Count our blessings. I cannot make, I don't think it's needless. It's needless to make an argument about, the efficiency of our nurses. They're the best in the world. I've seen them. I've seen them. I've seen our nurses in North America. Even my own daughter, our daughter. Ang advantage talaga natin, our TLC, our tender love and care, innate. We don't have to learn it. It's something in us. It's God-given. It's a gift. Now, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? We just need to harness it. And in this time where the very survival of humanity is at stake, we have shown the Filipino character that we are willing to plunge to danger, plunge to unknown risks. Why? Because we are a people willing to do anything and everything for our families, for ourselves, and now we've proven it that we're going to do it for humanity, the survival of humanity. And I cannot tell you how much prouder am I going to be, seeing our people, our healthcare workers. That's why I was telling Dr. Alkil, he was quite surprised when I told him, because I asked him, the very first question I asked him, how many Filipino nurses do you have here in this hospital? He said around 200, more than 200. Oh, okay, that's fine. So, but then again, I know that he was thinking about the larger scheme of things here in Saudi Arabia. You will be surprised that out of our labor population of about 850,000, only 5% of that belong to our healthcare, our nurses. 5% lang. So, nagtataka sila. Oh, ganun ba? 5% lang. Pero nandito kami sa National Hospital. Sino naman ang head ng nursing nila? Di ba Pinay? Yeah. Ano tayo sa exclusive club? Ika nga. So, that's what we are. It does not take much for us to be good. Because believe me, arguably, we are the best. And hanggang yan remains a truism, hanggang yan ay talagang mabibigyan ng mga pruweba na totoo yan, I will always be confident. Of course, you know our challenges here in the kingdom. We have much challenge. We have the same challenges elsewhere in the world. You know, but the thing is, one thing about our people, we are a very adaptable people. We easily adapt to situations, and our advantage of language is always there. I have not seen or experienced any moment in time where have asked a Filipino living in, outside of the Philippines who cannot speak English and relate to others in that manner. I have yet to see a healthcare worker, a Filipino healthcare worker, who have not endeared herself or himself to a patient. Easy. Ang galing natin mambola din. Talaga. Di ba? So, lahat yan, gamitin natin, no? Sa kabutihan. The thing about it is that, well, as long as you have your government here, as long as I am here, I will make sure that you are treated well. Ang dami nating mga problema na hinaharap sa embassy ngayon. Of course, hindi natin kayang hawakan yan sabay-sabay. Iisa-isahin natin yan. Unang-una, siguro marami sa inyo dito yung na-cancelan ng flight. Sino mga na-cancelan ng flight dito? Yung mga gustong umuwi. Marami, no? Okay. Now, hindi ko sasabihin sa inyo yung details, but we are very, very close to resolving the cancellation of flights. Your ambassador has been working at the back end, talking to people, our government, talking to the airlines to resolve this problem. Inshallah, in the next few days, ma-resolve natin yung flight cancellations, no? Alam niyo naman siguro yung kung ano yung rason doon, no? Did I explain? I hope it's been explained to you, and let me just explain to you a little bit para maintindihan nyo ngayon. May cancellation po, flight cancellation ng Nepal at saka even Saudi because of the passenger arrival limit in the Philippines. We only can take so much passengers arriving in our airports, and that is why yours truly have suggested to use other airports. Yung aalis na repatriation flight ngayong gabi, hindi po lalapag yan sa Maynila. Lalapag po yan sa Cebu. Because sa Mactan Airport, because yun nga, yung flight arrival limit sa Manila. Now, ang quarantine capacity ng Cebu is still very large. Ganun din sa Subic, ganun din sa Clark. So, yun yung minungkahi natin. Gamitin yung mga ibang airports. Kasi, ganun din naman, pagkatapos nyo mag-quarantine, ililipad din kayo dun sa destination ninyo. Yung mga taga Maynila, lilipad din from Cebu to Manila. At ihahatid sila. So, ang sanang nabigyan natin ng importansya, understanding is that paunahin natin yung mga end of contract. Kasi wala na silang sweldo rito, wala na silang trabaho. Yun yung mga kailangan umuwi. Oo, yung may mga sakit, no? Meron tayong isang stretcher at saka wheelchair cases na sasakay ngayong gabi. So yun sana yung paunahin natin. Ang pakiusap ko lang po sa inyo, sa ating mga kababayan, yung pong walang non-essential travels, yung bakasyon lang. Bakasyon lang, baka pwedeng i-postpone yun muna. Because until, we resolve this backlog of flights brought about by flight cancellations. And believe me, as soon as we get